Yep, we're live.
Yep, it's come up on my screen. YouTube. What's live now?
All right, folks. I'm joined by Ian, Vince here, and we'll see if any other fellows in the Tabletop Commanders community pop in, say hello, or actually join in the battle. We're not actually playing yet. This is part 2. I think we're gonna have one more little thing where we actually play. I think that'll do it. 3 parts. We'll see. But this part, we're gonna take a look at the layout of the table. And that view you're looking at right now, that will be the main camera. That's what you guys will be looking at. And watch how we put this together. We're going to set up the table, choose the scenario, get it all reasonably figured out so we can get figures on the table as quickly as possible and start blasting away. Again, this is all a learning experience for all of us. I've only played once before. Although I've played quite a bit of Flames of War. This is somewhat different, however. So we're all going to sit back and learn this game at our own leisurely pace. So what you see right now, we're going to be fighting in approximately a 4 foot by 4 foot or 5 by 4 area. So there's plenty of room to maneuver for both sides. The side that I'm on will be one side's deployment edge, and opposite me over there will be the other side. That'll save me the heartache of having to play on the longer sides, one closest to the camera. That wouldn't work too well. I'd be getting in the way. But we're about to lay down the terrain. I'm going to try and make it somewhat dense because of the smaller area we're going to be playing in. Now these forces are about 50 points or so, a little bit more than 50 points aside. If you watched part 1, you'll know what they're made up of. So small forces, small table, lots of terrain. Let's see what we can do. So Ian's going to be jumping in here, helping me out, making decisions as to where something might be good to place where, that kind of thing. The scenario itself, if you go through your rule books, in the back there's a whole section called missions. It's got all the special rules that may or may not apply to a particular scenario. And then it's got the actual missions. There's 6 of them. They're very generic. And after that, it goes into actual scenarios, which are drawn from the Team Yankee universe novel, if you want to play those. We're sticking with the scenarios, the generic ones, not scenarios, generic missions. And the first one, Free for All. If you know anything about Flames of War, you know about Free for All. It's a great little scenario. Hold that up to the camera, just to make sure I break every copyright law in the United States anyway.
Yeah.
Nah. But yeah, that's the layout, kind of. That's the mission. It's on page 102, I believe. And real simple. And one thing I could tell you right off the bat about Team Yankee compared to Flames of War, the missions are written very condensed. It's supposed to be streamlined and simple. And they did exactly that, like free-for-alls. It's just a matter of a few paragraphs and it's done. Throw in a map and it's done. It's not a full page, really. Description. A little bit smaller. Basically, they have 3 scenarios here on 2 pages. So that's how condensed it is. I think in Flames of War in the rulebook, it's 1 scenario per page. So it's a little bit tighter. I like that. Straightforward. Now with Free for All, the only special rule, again, when your Flames of War, you know, each scenario usually has certain mission special rules. This one has meeting engagement. It works pretty much the same as Flames of War. Basically, the side that goes first counts as moving in the shooting phase, but only in that first turn, only in his first turn. And that's how we're going to do it. And everybody starts gun to ground as usual. There's no other special rules like ambush and delayed reserves or deep reserves or any other kind of reserves. They're not in there. There is 2 objectives. Both sides are determined, and we'll have both sides, the leaders of both sides, actually place 2 objective markers on the opposite deployment edge. That's how you win the game. Go over there and capture one of those objectives that you placed on the opposite side of the table, and boom. Of course, the opponent will be defending them, and he'll also be trying to get the objectives he placed on his opposite side of the table. So that's how it works. That's how you win the game. Other than that, destroy the enemy. Very straightforward. Yeah. So that's the main way to win this. Capture one of those objectives, or just break the opponent. In other words, he fails basically an army morale test. He fails it, and his force leaves the table, and the opponent gains access to all the objectives left on the table. You win that way. Standard flames of war. So that's the scenario. The only thing I got to refer back to is the placing and the timing of who does what first. Let's get to the tabletop. See what we come up with. Get my mouse out of the way. Put the camera on the map. You want to be looking at me while we're placing terrain. There it is. Nice picture. One other thing, let me open up the pop-up. I'm always slow to get off the mark on this. Jeez. I do want to put a lot of terrain on, but I don't want it to clutter too much so that you can't actually see what's going on.
You don't forget that you've got to give a bit of advantage terrain-wise to the West Germans, because they're 6 points light, aren't they? So you did say you would give them, if possible, try and make up them points with strategically placed terrain for them.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, I was thinking like them trees. I'm thinking of the bumblebee that can hide. That would be advantageous to the German player. So he's going to want plenty of height, plenty of trees, and it'd also nullify slightly the Russian advantage in tank numbers.
Yeah, if you saw part 1, there's a discrepancy in the points because we're going on what I have painted and what's available. Still use army lists of about, I think it's 6 points. The West Germans have 6 points less than the Russians. And I don't want to reduce the Russian side. I want to keep where it's at and give some kind of advantage to the West Germans. And that's quite a bit of points, actually, with Team Yankee. With the Team Yankee point system, that's a lot.
I'll be back in a moment. Kids.
All right, Ian, take your time. So let me open up the pop-up chat in case anybody wants to say hi or follow along before we hit the final part of this series. How you doing, Jeff? We'll see what we come up with for terrain, which we're going to lay out. If anybody has any problems hearing the video or anything, or the video isn't coming in like it's supposed to, let me know. I'll double check things. I have had issues in the past with sound. I don't want that to happen again. Where are the heroic Russians? Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, the battle's over. We finished it already. We're moving on to some blue shirt, which involves Russians. So you got me there too anyway. Now we're gonna deploy the terrain, set up the terrain. You don't deploy terrain, you set up terrain. If you got any comments on what kind of terrain we could put down. Now remember, we've got to kind of give the West Germans, we don't know which side is which as far as deployment edge, but we do have to give some kind of advantage to the West Germans because they're 6 points under against the Russians, and that's quite a few points. Imagine a 7-point Panzer Grenadierzug with 3 martyrs. That's and lots of infantry. That's quite a bit. They're worth about 7 points. So that shows you. My volume is a little low. All right, let me check that. I'll crank it. Boom. I don't know if that helps, but we shall see. Dash of alarm. It's the other camera. Make sure that's muted. Otherwise, you'll be getting feedback.
Right, I'm back now.
How you doing?
Okay.
Jeff just said my volume was down a little bit, so I'll turn it up all the way. Jeff Wesovich. Yep, that's better, he says. Roads, traffic
okay.
to defend. Well, it's a free-for-all scenario. Basically, each player places 2 objectives on the opposite side of the board from them. And to win, he has to capture at least one of them. That's how it works. So objective-wise, that's how that would work. I don't know if we could. I think maybe how we position the objectives might help the Germans if we give them some advantage in the positioning of their objectives or the Russians' objective. Like, what would happen if one of the Russian objectives was a little bit closer towards the German table edge? Would that help? Or maybe the terrain, maybe it's in the open, or maybe the way we position it might give the Germans a slight advantage. We'll think about that.
Yeah, either that or you could make it 2-1. Maybe the Germans can place 2 and the Russians only 1, or
yeah, that's powerful though. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I think it would be very predictable where the battle would be. You know?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Some Russians here. Off the table. Actually, let me put this over here. They could hear me while I'm talking. First thing we'll do, start off with some hills. We'll get a couple hills and throw them down. Let's see if this works again.
Okay.
I'm going to use a big giant hill. Let's see what else I got. Throw down some extra fields. Throw down another. Forests. That's a little tiny forest. These are hedges. I'll put them around the entire field. I'll leave a couple little gaps. haven't used one of these in a while. That's fun. I have your liking. I love this stuff. Spinach.
Have you treated it so it doesn't all fall apart?
What did you say, Ian?
Have you treated it in some way? Covered it in PVA or something so it doesn't all break apart? Because mine always breaks apart.
You know, some of this lichen I've had for over 10 years. And I always keep it in a plastic Ziploc. But wintertime is particularly harsh on it for some reason. But what I do, I'll actually take it and make sure it's damp. I mean, if you wanted to, you can actually put like an apple, a piece of an apple inside of it. It'll keep it moist and smell like apples.
Mm.
Or you could just spray it with some water and put it in your bag, and always leave the bag a little bit open because you don't want it to get too nasty. But the trick is to keep it damp. However you do want to do that. That's what I found out. Just spray it with some water. It'll come back alive. Now, there's no buildings. We're not going to worry about entering buildings and stuff. Although I will put this little barn here just for looks. So it's pretty dense in the middle.
Yeah.
No roads. Don't worry about roads. Yeah. It's going to be a little field from hay cut down. This field right here, this green one, you can barely see it. You won't see it until the other cameras. Actually, you know what? Let me put that camera in that area. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That one here, this is the only short terrain so far. The woods are tall. These hedges and this field here is short. This field is, I forget what they call it. It's basically level ground. Really, it's plowed, cut down, whatever. Hope I'm not cluttering it up too much. In fact, that's enough. And defeat our purpose of being able to see stuff.
Mm.
We'll see. Maybe this extra camera is really going to help out. And I'll put a little pond there. Now these little trees, actually I got to put them in this forest. If there's any little trees standing outside of the forest, they do count as trees. Cover, tall terrain. They're just along the little tree. Oh, what do you think?
Looks good. You can see everything. Nice big hill dominating the centre. Fields at this end. You've got the forests, or woods. You've got the field and the barn at the far end. Yeah.
That's better. All these hedges, again, they're short terrain. I'll explain that as we go. For the most part, just try and use common sense. You know, it's how high a hedge is. You know, move your infantry up against it. You're gonna see open. Pretty straightforward. Not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now let's test something out. How does that look?
Looks pretty good.
It'd probably be nice if the one camera was higher up, but I don't know. Just go up in the iron with some stem legs. This is getting precarious.
Yeah, it'll be working out with whose tanks is whose. I think will be the. We'll have to see.
All right, let me click this.
Oh, that's good.
How's that other camera?
That looks good. When it steadies and it focuses, it's crystal clear.
How about the light? Is there any?
That's better.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna raise this main camera as well. It seems to give a better view. Second here.
Mm-hmm.
You get to watch us firsthand, folks, how we do this. I think this will make an interesting game. How's that main camera look?
That looks good. And the box being there, what's got your tablet on is ideal because you can see it's marking the edge of the table.
There.
Yeah, we can see everything on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's
And then if you switch to the other camera, you can see the other side just as well. I prefer this one. I prefer the main one. I almost said main, but the other one's great for seeing it, the other side of that hill and the trees.
Yeah.
When it goes clear like this, when it goes clarity clear like this, it's superb.
Is it? Good.
Yeah, and then every now and again it'll, it does. It's trying to focus on something else. But yeah, when it's like that, it's great.
It's like being there.
Yeah.
Almost.
Almost, yeah.
All right, so this gives you an idea. One other thing I'm going to do, for the sake of the game, there we are. Now, I'm just going to use these as objective markers because they work. They're nice and bright. One thing I might also do is, for the sake of the game, is kind of put a little marker where it's viewable by you guys anyway. I'll have to check the map. Where certain vehicles might be otherwise out of sight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A little marker. Leave the model, but put the marker. So it gives you an idea where something might be. So if you see them on the table, that's what they're for. These big ones will be objective markers just because I don't have anything else at the moment. Once I break out my Flames of War World War II markers, which I'm not going to do.
Nah, they're nice and clear of them.
Use those as objectives. Yeah. Of course, you guys are going to need dice. So there it is, folks. What do you think? Leave me some comments. This is what it's going to look like before we set up and play the battle. We haven't deployed yet, but it's coming. One side will be Russians, one side West Germans. Should be interesting. Free-for-all scenario. What else? I guess we'll have to figure out who's going to play.
Yeah. We'll see that when we do the next part and who joins.
Excellent. All right. Well, what else is there to discuss? Where's the pop-out chat, just in case I'm not paying attention at the moment. We're almost there.
Oh, yeah, that should be okay.
Almost there. So there's nothing to channel. Roots of advance. Germans will need that. No? Let me see. Michael Whitman. Proxy and aircraft support marker for the weaker side. Would that even things up? No, I'm not using aircraft. Artillery pre-registered on fields. Check. Oh, you guys are just brutal. Spray white glue. Happy little trees. Neil Molden being a smart ass. Happy Little trees. Excellent. All right, so to recap, I don't think there's anything else we can put in this part of the video. You basically learned about the scenario we're playing. I think one thing we do have to figure out is precisely how we're going to balance this out for the West Germans. They are 6 points under. I don't want to get crazy or anything. Everybody that's playing is a noob, so it's not going to be a huge thing, I don't think. Let me see. The deployment edges are 8 inches in. So let me mark those.
Hmm.
8 inches in and 8 inches from either side. There is 8 inches. To give you an idea where one side is going to be deploying. It's also where objectives will be placed, I believe. Man, what is this? Oh, 12 inches. Not 8, 12 inches. Sorry. This little zone I marked in red, this is actually where you're going to be placing objectives. 8 inches from the opposite table edge. So basically this area for the guy opposite me. But deployment is 12 inches. That's interesting. That don't look right. So there's 12 inches. That's a deployment zone right there. Don't know who's deploying there. Russians or Germans. On this side, same situation. 12 inches. That's like the old Warhammer days. I feel like I'm deploying for Warhammer. So those are the deployment edges. Now, as far as balancing this out, I think maybe the best thing to do, determine sides and choose which side is German, which side is Russian, and then tinker with it, and I'll figure out some way to give the Germans an advantage based on the deployment edges. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the best way.
Or is that a little too much? I mean, remember, we're all newbies here. I don't think anybody's going to take advantage of anything. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's just a demo battle. It's not a. We're not playing a tournament game, so the difference in points isn't vital. It's just a learning game.
There's something in those trees, I tells you, according to Frank Fry. Quiet, Frank, quiet. Oh, boy. All right, folks, who wants to play? Now, we need some newbies here. If you have a little knowledge, that's fine too, but I need at least a couple players on each side, ideally. I don't want to have to play myself. I'm just going to throw rules at you, and you guys make sense of it. I know Ian's going to be playing. He's ready to rock right now, in fact. Vince, I'm sure he's going to make some decisions and roll some dice. Are you there, Vince?
Yeah, we're reporting for duty.
Reporting for duty. So 2 more guys. Who's up for it? Come on. Come on. No response.
No.
Nobody wants to go against the Russians here. I know Vince and Ian are both going to be Russians. Right? Commander Ian and Vince.
Yeah,
Well, if necessary, one of each. So it'd be better if we had more.
I'll be back in 5-10 minutes.
All right. If you guys missed it, check part 1. That's where we actually made the armies. I went through the cards and how they work. It's pretty cool. I had fun doing that. All based around what I've painted up so far. I think we got 2 pretty cool forces going on. We've got infantry, no artillery and stuff. There is some helicopters. It should be interesting. I only played once before so far. That was pretty good. The only thing I didn't try out model-wise was the little bumblebees. I never used them in their what's the special role they have? Hunter, killer, or something? Is that what it is?
Duck and dive.
Let me find them. I think it's hunter killer. They basically can use tall terrain as cover. I think cobras have that. Yeah, I'm looking in the wrong book. Let me look at cobra. Cobra. Hunter killer. That's the rule. If I remember correctly, what that is basically the helicopter, which always never has concealment if it's within 4 inches of tall terrain. I take that back. Helicopters do have concealment if the shooter has concealment to him. So it kind of works both ways in that sense. But if you want a clear shot at a helicopter, jet or something, don't be concealed, is what I'm trying to say. The shooter, don't be concealed. Right on the page, actually. Yeah, that's the only thing I haven't used yet is the little bumblebees. So I guess we'll have to keep that in mind. They're pretty fragile little beasts, honestly, just looking at their cards. We're not going to use any of the special rules from the West German book because I haven't looked at the book and I don't even have it out. I'm not even going to bother with that. But I think most of the rules are on the cards anyway. We're just not using things like spearhead. There's no recon elements in the battle. Things like that. Warthogs. Anyway. Let's see, Matt Schreiber. He says, maybe one of our players, we'll see. Yeah, he might pop in later. We shall see. He's kind of busy with lunch with his mom. Come on, Matt, you should be gaming. Oh, mercy. And we'll just jump right into part 3. And I'm breaking these up into separate videos so people can watch them later without watching 3 hours of me bantering about something in rules. So it makes it a little more convenient. Of course, I'm bantering now. I'm going to kill time. Hope I'm not boring. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, I think we've set up the table. They know what forces are. when we come back for the next one, we'll you know, get the legs starting to fly.
Yeah.
Get sides picked and work out if there's going to be any terrain adjustments, and then get cracking. Hopefully, with a couple of people on each side.
Yeah, ideally. All right, we'll do that. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes, and we're going to start up a new chat. I'll post the links once again. If you're think about it, if you're interested in playing, just jump in. It's perfectly fine. You could, I'll send you the link. We're not opening the chat up to everybody because they would just bog down. People be joining, sucking up bandwidth, and they're not even playing. So we're kind of limiting it as to who and how many people are in the actual chat. Otherwise, you guys can watch. Somebody's going to be watching the chat on YouTube, so you can leave comments or ask questions, and we'll try to get to them. Yeah, that's the plan. So meet us back here in about 5-10 minutes, and we'll pick up with the actual battle and hopefully have some players. Dear God. All right, let me go off live here for you guys, and we'll be back. Links shall be posted.